From Gartner Business and Technology Insights, Distinguished Vice President Analyst, Jean Alvarez.
Good morning. Oh boy. So, I don't know about you, but I've talked to a lot of clients this year in 2025, and many of them have not been having fun. It's been extremely challenging with all the forces of chaos that they've had to deal with this year. AI and emerging technologies just being one of them. Political geo-uncertainty, talent, trying to get talent for the organization, financial constraints. Many of you have had budget changes, technology and data management advancements. All of these forces of chaos have been challenging you for years, and 2025 seems to have been one that's even coming at us faster and faster. Now, as you fighting forces of chaos, as Darryl said in the keynote, that heroes are made in the trough, it gave me the idea that you are all superheroes. So, in 2026, guess what? Your superhero journey continues. Now, I'm an avid comic book fan, and all superheroes meet other superheroes. And you're going to meet 3 of them in 2026. The first one is the architect. Now, the architect is going to provide instant constructs that are secure, scalable AI platforms and infrastructure. The next one is the synthesis. Now, the synthesis is not only hard for me to say, right? But they put things together, right? They command multi-agent systems. They use specialized models, make AI adaptive, and use domain-specific models. The last one is the vanguard. It's not a top strategic technologies trend unless we talk about something that protects the organization. Now, the vanguard provides preemptive cybersecurity, digital provenance, and ensures governance and compliance and digital integrity. Now, the trends that you're going to see today have time frames. Not every one of the trends here, don't think of them as mature at the end of the hype cycle. Think of them at various stages in the hype cycle. Some of these trends are happening right now and over the next 3 years. We call that the now. Some are in 3 to 5 year time frames. That's the near. And then anything beyond 5 years is the future. And I think over the next couple of years, those time frames will get even shorter. As we look at the trends, here they are. We have 8 trends for you today. And one of the first things I want you to notice is none of them are beyond 5 years. They're all in the near and the now. So if you think you're going to get a break in 2026 and get to relax, you're not going to. The architect will have 2 trends, AI native development platforms and AI supercomputing platforms. The synthesis will have 3 trends, multi-agent systems, physical AI, and domain-specific languages. And the vanguard has 3 trends also, preemptive cybersecurity, digital provenance, and geopatriation. So let's take a look at the architect, AI native development platforms and AI supercomputing platforms. So the architect is laying out those platforms for your organization for the future. AI native development platforms. I'm certain everyone in here has no application backlog. No development backlog. I say that facetiously. You actually do. Many of my clients do. They say all the time, how do I deal with this? Well, now imagine being able to partner developers with AI. These are platforms that enable you to create software using AI. And the agents that are alongside your staff are going to create what we call tiny teams. So imagine this. Let's say you have 10 developers, just 10. Well, that might enable you to do 2 projects, 2 teams of 5. Well, what if they could be partnered with AI to do development? I might have 5 teams of 2, all partnered with different AI development agents. Now, all of a sudden, I have scale at delivery. Now, why is this important? We've already seen this revolutionize the startup culture. If you're wondering why you've seen so many AI startups come so quickly, some of these startups are 2 people with AI working together to create the applications they're delivering. Sam Altman talked about the future being the one-person startup. Imagine that, being able to start your own company with just you and AI development platforms. So this is going to be the solution to your developer productivity problems. You're actually going to be able to develop more than you ever have over your career. And you're going to be able to see not only technical developers working with AI development platforms, but non-technical developers can work side by side with them. So that 2-person team might be a technical person and a business function expert. Or they both may become business function experts, and development is hidden from them. They're just using AI development platforms. Now, we've seen development from one single prompt, and then there's vibe coding, right? Vibe is like, how do you feel? You describe it, you talk about it, you give it some drawings, and then it can create the application for you. But there's also spec AI development. I can feed it a spec, and it can generate the entire application. Think about that, having an entire application generated in one day. Now, some of the things to watch for and do here is that you're going to have to play a platform game now with these tiny teams. Each one of them becomes a team that supports the application through its life cycle because they were the 2 that developed, and the AI will also keep track of all the documentation and put the application together, but they will be a platform that supports certain parts of the business. Of course, as we develop faster, we need to put security guardrails in there so that everything we develop is secure. And lastly, you'll need to adopt an AI development mindset first. And what do I mean by that? The business needs an application to do a specific function. What do we normally think of? Well, who are the SaaS providers out there that provide us with the application? We've kind of backed away from thinking, well, we should build that application. Well, now you can actually say, should we build it first? Can we build it so it works uniquely for our organization and give us competitive advantage? That's what AI native development platforms can do for you. Our next trend here is AI supercomputing platforms. Now, for those of you who may have been aware of our 2025 trends, one trend there was hybrid computing. Hybrid computing meant that you had multiple computing paradigms working as a single environment. So think about CPUs, GPUs, application-specific integrated circuits, quantum, neurological computing, and biological computing all working together, hidden from you. Being able to take a problem and then have it run across multiple paradigms in the most efficient way. Well, this is specifically for AI. So it enables you to build purpose, large-scale AI workloads and not have to worry about where they run, because it combines orchestration and operationalization of the complex process to be spread out to the most efficient parts of computing. So this is going to hide the hardware complexity on where things run. So for the first time, you're not going to have to think, well, does this run on the mainframe, or does this run on GPUs, or where is it going to run? Instead, that will be hidden from you. So now, any AI model is going to run optimally across this hybrid infrastructure. It's going to boost efficiency and, of course, lower costs, because you're not going to have to spend time thinking about where does it run. Instead, it's going to let the team focus on what they're trying to develop in AI that will generate business value. And this is going to accelerate innovation and future-proof you for AI. The reason is that if you have a new computing paradigm come along, let's say quantum is ready today, You could simply bring it in, and the AI supercomputing platform will know it's there, will know how to integrate with it and operationalize it, so that when you now decide to take on your next AI project, you won't have to figure out where does it run. Now, some of the things to watch for and do here is look for the high-impact processes you have today that are chewing up lots of compute. Those are the places to start with AI supercomputing. And then you're going to also take on a modular approach to your infrastructure using AI supercomputing platforms, which means you can bring in new compute models at the pace you want to bring them in, when you feel they're ready for your organization. And that means you're going to be able to automate your platform scaling and deployment because it's hidden now. You can just bring this module in, add it in. The AI supercomputing platform will detect it's there, handle the integration and operationalization of it, and now you can use it. But this also means you'll have to upscale your teams for security and governance when developing AI across an AI supercomputing platform. So now we leave the architect and we go to see the synthesis. And here we're going to look at multi-agent systems, domain-specific models, and physical AI. Now, multi-agent systems. You probably have already been talking about it. You may have built an AI agent this year. Well, and then all of a sudden you realize that AI agent would work with another agent. And all of a sudden, that's what opens up the multi-agent systems conversation. Now, what are they? They are modular AI agents that do specific tasks, working as a team on a complex task. I'm going to give you an example. This is the one that I would love to have. So I speak at conferences. I would love to have an agent that watches my calendar, and when it says, I'm going to Gold Coast Gartner Symposium, it automatically gets a team of other agents together to do the following. 1, it applies for the visas. 2, it starts looking at airfare, ground travel, hotels, signs me up for the conferences, perhaps generates some of the slides that I need to do, helps me work on the talk track, and schedules it all and handles my expenses. Now that's a team of AI agents that I want, and you probably could think of a task like that you do that's complex, that has multiple agents that you'd love to have. So here, multi-agent systems handle that orchestrated and dynamic teamwork of these specific agents that are working on the multiple tasks to get me here. And that means we're going to see them first develop in single platforms. You may have already some of your suppliers, your platform suppliers, telling you about their multi-agent systems that they have. But then, of course, you have multiple suppliers. So that brings in cross-platform multi-agent systems. We also believe in the future that we will have an internet of agents so that you can go out to the internet and find the agents you need. You may not have to develop them. They may exist, and you'll bring them in, and they work dynamically in your organization. Now, some of the things to watch for and do here is multi-agent systems. Now, why is this important? Is that you can leverage multiple agents across multiple workloads. So, for example, my expense agent that's handling my trip may also be used for non-trip expenses by other agents in a dynamic way. What you're going to see is by having these agents being specific to tasks, is that it minimizes LLM unpredictability. So many of us are worried about hallucinations and unpredictability. By making these agents specific and tuning them, we can lower that unpredictability percentage within the agent. Now, some of the things to watch for and do here is you probably already started to build multi-agent systems. You need to watch what's going on in the cross-platform protocol space. The reason is sooner or later, you're going to have agents in one platform. Let's say you have agents you've developed in Salesforce, but then you have agents you've developed in Microsoft, and you want them to work together as a team. This is where the cross-platform protocols come into play. Something you could do right now also is if you're building agents, don't build large monolithic agents. So my example of my agent that watches my calendar, don't build it to do everything that I laid out. Instead, build teams of modular specific task agents that can work together dynamically. They can come together, work, and break up and go work with others. And lastly, do not think of multi-agent systems as people. They augment people. So this doesn't replace my administrative assistant. This can help my administrative assistant. Now, to our next trend, domain-specific languages. Now, domain-specific languages, these are LLMs tuned to a specific industry, such as government, financial services, healthcare, life sciences, and many, many more. These modules, these LLMs, are tuned to those industries or to a task, meaning that's the domain-specific part and the data part. So instead of being an LLM that's trained in everything on the internet, for example, like Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift getting engaged, it's tuned to your industry. Now, with that, that's going to enable you to optimize the operations for your organization because it's specific to your industry. So for example, if you're in financial services, it can help with compliance. Or if you're in life sciences, it can help with clinical trial results. So here, the models have been tuned to the specific industry or task, such as accounting rules and regulations. Now, why is this important? Well, because these models are tuned, they can be created at a lower cost. And they also can outperform LLMs because they're specific, meaning that you can reduce the number of hallucinations that come out of it because the model has been trained only in that specific discipline or industry. This is going to increase trust and security for those uses of domain-specific models. Now, some of the things to watch for and do is, think about this. If you have multi-agent systems that are specific, and then you put them on domain-specific language models, you can build an agent that is very specific to your industry, to your organization, and will have fewer hallucinations and greater performance at a lower cost. Now, one of the things you'll have to monitor is what we call catastrophic forgetting. Now, LLMs, the large language models, are trained on everything in the internet. So as I mentioned, I might be looking at life science data on clinical testing. And now, out of clinical trials, I'm able to extract data. But now I want to know the financial performance of one of those organizations running the clinical trials. Well, that won't be in the specific model because that is in the larger model. So you have to understand what is the limits of your domain-specific models. And also, you need to keep them up to date for your industry or for the process that you've put them and created them for. Which means you'll also have to understand where is the training data that is specific to the domain that I want to have this model operate on. Now, we're going to move into physical AI. Often I have a lot of clients ask me about, what is physical AI? This is where the digital rubber meets the road. Now, a test that you can give to determine if something is really for physical AI is, we call it the window test. If it's something you can throw out the window physically, then it's physical AI. Here, what we're seeing is AI designed to interact with the physical world. So imagine this, a dirty table at a restaurant. A robot comes up and wants to clean it. Well, the salt and pepper shakers have to stay on the table. The forks, the knives, the glasses, and the plates have to go into the busing station to be cleaned. All of the remainder is trashed, or perhaps the linens have to go into the wash. So the AI has to understand the physical environment in order for it to happen. And that means it can sense it and understands and acts on that environment. So for example, when it picks up the glass, it applies the right amount of pressure not to crush the glass. So it shares the physical world with human users. Now, why is this important? Well, it extends AI into the physical world. So for example, I have a gimbal. I use it to do photos with my phone and videos with my phone. It has AI in it. And I can pick where I want to be in the frame as I'm filming a video. I can walk around and it will track me and keep me in that spot in the frame as if I had a camera person operating it. That is physical AI. Now, you're going to see a lot of this in robots, drones, and smart devices like my gimbal. So that means you are now going to have a strategy that goes beyond the digital world into the physical world and apply AI to your real-world operations. Look for those opportunities where AI at the edge or in drones or in robots can help your organization, or even in devices like my gimbal. It is now giving me a traveling cameraman. Next, what to watch for and do here. You need to acquire technical skills in AI already. That's challenging. Now you need to get physical AI technical skills into your organization. And if you're using IoT in your organization, how do you leverage that to help with physical AI? There's going to be some unpredictability and risk. So back to my robot clearing the table. Well, it has to clear the table a number of times to learn that the salt and pepper stay there. So you might have some of your salt and pepper shakers actually thrown out. But that's what it takes to get physical AI going. The training has to happen in the physical world. So expect it to be adaptive in terms of system complexity. Now, we move to the vanguard. We're going to see preemptive cybersecurity, digital provenance, and geopatriation. Now, preemptive cybersecurity, the best way for me to convey this to you is through Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise did a movie called The Minority Report. I hope you have seen it. You all probably thought I was going to talk Mission Impossible. Sorry. Now, in The Minority Report, he plays a detective who stops people from committing crimes before they commit the crime. He goes to the pre-cons, and the pre-cons determine that someone is dreaming of murdering their spouse, and they actually arrest the person before they murder their spouse. Well, preemptive cybersecurity is security ops that are AI-powered. And here they're set up to deny, disrupt, and deceive. So imagine this. AI determines that there's a possibility one of your accounts is going to be hacked. So what does it do? It empties that account and leaves it as a honeypot so that this way the money is protected because it saw the attack coming before it comes. So programmatically, we're going to deny, disrupt, and deceive our attackers. We're also going to have the ability to do this across our entire global attack surface. Why is this important? Well, often detection lags behind the threats. Most of the time we find out about things after they happen. Preemptive moves it to before it happens. So as AI threat actors are using AI to improve their threats, they're generating more and more threats. We don't have enough people to respond to do that detection, so we need to have preemptive cybersecurity not only as a standalone product, but in everything that we use. So future systems will have preemptive cybersecurity built into them. And that means that collaboration for your security teams now extends to the entire organization. Now, some of the things to watch for and do here is that demand your vendors start implementing preemptive cybersecurity capabilities, meaning AI cybersecurity capabilities, into their products for you. Pilot disruptions of your own critical systems. Plan some attacks and see if it can detect and defend against them before they happen. And then you're going to have to educate your executives on this because they're going to think it's something like the Minority Report, that it possibly can't be real, but it is. Now to our next trend, digital provenance. Now imagine this. If you were going to spend, say, $20 million on a Picasso, wouldn't you like to know it's real? And that happens all the time. When anything is auctioned, there's often some sort of certification or provenance that says this is real. Now think about all the digital assets you get from third parties. Applications, data, media, and many more types of digital assets you get from third parties. How do you know they're real? How do you know that the application you're signing on to is actually the application and not one that was created by a red team hacker? Well, we're now going to see the use of bills of material or attestations, databases, and digital rights management, and disinformation systems. By the way, that was one of our top strategic trends for 2025 and continues to be a hot area. Here, we're going to see that digital provenance enables us to verify that third-party things that we get are real. Now, why is this important? Well, we need to trust the things we're using. And it's very easy for red team hackers to use AI to generate very convincing digital assets. We have seen already people impersonated an entry into government systems where they tried to contact foreign contacts and generate conversations that were not real. Also, copywriting. We're seeing a lot of challenges on copywriting, and that geopolitical risks are raising, and you need to be able to understand that anything you use is really what it is to create trust and accountability of your essential systems. So some of the things to watch for and do here, there are already some things that you can adopt. Software bill of materials do exist. Certificates of bills of materials, machine language bill of materials, digital rights management systems exist. Start with those. Start ensuring that the third-party assets you're using are real. Then you're going to see this expand into the provenance of LLMs. So if you're using an LLM from a third party, you're going to be able to see that this is actually the real one you're using, which may have watermarks. We may have watermarks also on digital assets that we have in media. And lastly, keep track of these standards that are rising on bills of materials, on attestation databases, and on watermarking. Our last trend here is geopatriation. And I can't help but think of Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, that there's no place like home. We have seen a rise in our client base of everyone wanting to bring their applications to their sovereign nation, bring it home. And they want to see that the mainstream cloud security capabilities have been brought into their own sovereign nation. And that's because we are starting to see now the hyperscalers and small vendors getting investment on creating sovereign solutions you can use locally. Now, why is this important? Well, it's going to increase your resiliency to geopolitical disruption. By having it close to home, if the rules of the game changes in another country you operate, you won't have your critical data and applications operating in that nation. Instead, they'll be operating closer to you. Now, this is also going to make these sovereign solutions more economically viable. Now, why is that? Because hyperscalers are going to provide them, but we're also seeing funding in many local sovereign nation solutions. And as supply increases, we all know price can fall. So we're starting to see that this is catalyzing the investment market to put money into local players. So some of the things to watch for and do here is look for the offerings coming from the hyperscalers first. Start there. Then take a look and determine what should be on-premise of your vital applications and data. That's the stuff you really want to protect and keep close to home. But keep your stack as simple as possible. So that means don't move everything everywhere to try and get it all into one place. You may have to leave some things spread out, but keep your architecture as simple as possible. So I've introduced you to 3 new superheroes to work with the heroes you are: the architect, the synthesist, and the vanguard. I've shown you the top strategic trends for 2026, and I'll ask you, what will you do with these 3 new heroes? The first one is you can determine which ones you'll act on. Do you do something about one of these trends right now? Some of them are occurring right now. Which ones will you monitor to determine when's the right time for your organization to work with them? Or will you ignore them? Now, going back to my comic book life, every time a superhero gets ignored by a superhero, what happens? They become a supervillain. So be careful on any of the ones you ignore. So with that, that's Gartner's top strategic trends for 2026 and beyond. I want to thank you for coming today, and have a great day.